I think all of you are considering a class of problems that may be described as complex systems, and you're also looking at networks, and you're also examining scenarios for the future. I found an interesting paper about the relationship between complex systems and supply chains, and this slide gives you a picture of that paper. Here you have two ideas that are very closely related. The idea of a complex system, the idea of complex adaptive systems, and the idea of self-organization. I really should have said three aspects are represented here. And you can see as you go down the numbering from 1 to 15, you have a series of ideas that are associated with complex systems, large numbers of interdependent parts, and their complex systems are made up of hierarchies. So, for example, if you consider a company, it's made up of value chains, which are part of businesses, which are part of large organizations, which in turn are part of a related supply chain. So you've got systems within systems, and the parts of the system interact with one another in such a way as to produce unpredictable effects. And obviously there's positive and negative feedbacks, and also systems, if we go to number 8, are open to outside influences, and they co-evolve with other systems. So a business system will co-evolve with a political system. If you think of a business sector, you find that companies in that sector compete and cooperate with one another, and that causes that's what I mean by co-evolution. Similarly, you can't say complex systems are in equilibrium. They operate far from equilibrium. They're subject to change the whole time. Just continuing, unpredictability is a characteristic of complex systems, and we'll come back to that. I don't want to say anything about attractors at the moment, but if we go to path dependence, that's a particularly important concept. Put very simplistically, what it means is that where you are at the moment is very much influenced by what happened in the past. And the idea of path dependence means that certain opportunities are not available because of past actions or past characteristics. So if, for example, you are, let's say, deciding on a contract, you're making a contract, making an agreement with some supplier or some subcontractor, what you decide at the beginning will determine the opportunities and the alternatives and the directions you take in the future. I'll come back to complexity catastrophe later on with an example from the banks.